Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we're here for another video in the series 30 more reviews in 30 days. Today we're discussing a novel entitled A Cupboard Full of Coats. The author is Yvvette Edwards and she is a black British woman who is of Montserratian descent, which means one of her parents at least is from the island of Montserrat in the Caribbean. This is my first time reading anything by an author of that ethnicity, so that was pretty exciting for me. I read this novel because Didi from Brown Girl Reading organizes a read-along twice a year to celebrate Black History Month in the United States and in the United Kingdom. In October, it's UK Black History Month. And so this is a novel that she selected for us to read and discuss. That discussion, the Read Solid discussion, happens this coming Saturday. I won't be able to participate in the live discussion, but I'm looking forward to discussing this book with other people who have read it. So I'm putting out my review today because I want your feedback in anticipation of the big discussion from Didi and even afterwards. This is a book that you could read anytime. It is not specific to any time period. It is covering themes that are pretty universal. In this novel, we are following a woman. She's, I think, about 30 years old when the novel opens, and there are two timelines. The present day timeline is she's 30 and a family friend comes to visit for the weekend, almost turns up unexpected and forces her to deal with an issue that they've both been avoiding for some time, but that has been haunting their other relationships. In the present day, this young woman is estranged from her romantic partner. They had a child together. The child is about 5 years old now, but she is not able to mother her child and really love her child, maybe in the way you expect the traditional mother type to behave. And the reason she's haunted is because of an incident that happened that she and this family friend are going to discuss. And so as we go back in that 14-year-old timeline, it's revealed that her mother died. Her mother was killed. And both this young woman and her friend feel responsible for the mother's death. And so as they discuss over the weekend, they're discussing the past, but they're also discussing the present and how their emotional dealings are being affected by the things that they haven't dealt with in the past. So A Cupboard Full of Coats deals with or attempts to cover things up. How we sometimes disguise hurt, disguise pain, disguise fear, disguise lots of emotions behind trappings, some of them beautiful, some of them not so much. And it talks about the cost of these cloaks, these coats that we wear, these coats that we put over things, how much of ourselves we are hiding from ourselves and from the world, and what is the consequence, what is the cost of wearing these coats. So I loved how Yvvette Edwards dealt with these big picture themes and gives us these everyday situations, everyday experiences, but asks us to use them to reflect on these big philosophical discussions. And so some of the things that we discuss in this book are domestic violence and just violence in general. There are lots of sexual, sensual references, not specifically related to relationships between men and women, but encounters that have to do with just indulging sensual experiences. There's a lot of discussion about food and drink and how we use food and drink for comfort, for medicine, for aphrodisiac purposes, to tempt people to, I don't want to say more. There is discussion of the hedonistic pleasure that we get from food and drink, but also how it is absorbed in our culture, how we cook, how we prepare food, and how we gift these meals to other people, how we use food to communicate intent, and what transfers between the giver and the recipient when food and drink are involved, which is, entirely representative of our culture. And so I thought that this was a really profound look at cultural preferences, cultural disciplines, cultural experiences of food and drink. But so yeah, I love that part, but I didn't always love how the other sensual experiences were described. There is some sexual description of events that happen involving teenagers that I didn't care for. And maybe that may have colored my experience of the book, maybe just a little bit too much. So I don't know. I'm still processing that. So there is this timeline where the main character, the female main character, is a 16-year-old girl, and there is discussion of things that she's talking about, but also things that her friend is talking about. And her friend is of African descent. They're both British, and so we are discussing the differences, the little nuanced differences of how Black British from Africa and Black British from the Caribbean, how their experiences are different. So yeah, there are lots of little nuanced differences as the author gives us these big picture thematic discussions, but uses these everyday situations to transmit them. So I enjoyed that. Overall, there are lots of things about the book that I really enjoyed. I thought the pacing was excellent. I thought the storyline, the delivery was riveting, but I didn't love the main character. I didn't always feel empathy for her, and that might have impacted my overall enjoyment of the book, just because I didn't feel like I connected with her enough to feel distraught by some of the violence that was happening that she was a part of. I don't know. Reading this reminded me of my feelings when I read My Sister the Serial Killer. Again, another main character that I didn't care for. And so because of that, I didn't always feel empathy or sympathy for the people who were experiencing violence. I know that's terrible, but that's just the reality. So, A Cupboard Full of Coats by Yvvette Edwards. I read it. I really enjoyed lots of things about it. There were a couple of things that I could quibble about. So I'm still not sure about my overall rating of the book. It's not an overwhelming 5-star rating for me, just because of that issue with the teenage sexuality. But I look forward to hearing from you if you've read this book. If you were participating in the Read So Lit discussion and you read this book, would love to hear your thoughts. Leave me a comment down below. If I said something in this video that makes you want to pick up the book, even though you hadn't considered it or maybe hadn't heard about it before. So let's chat about that. I also want to point out that there are 3 very different covers that I saw for this book, and I think they all represent different parts of the novel. So let me know which of these covers are more appealing to you and why. Would love to know that in the comments down below as well. So give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more. Let's chat down there, and until next time, happy reading. Bye.